Good morning. So this is kind of day two in a new version of this morning broadcast, and like I said, day two in this new version of our morning broadcast or our morning uh, daily reading that we've been doing, and we're focusing on. I said to hell with it. I'm going to focus on addiction, alcoholism, and recovery, and not just me doing this, but my I've been interviewing a lot of people, and lately I've interviewed some folks just on that subject, people who have some expertise in that subject, and I'm going to interview more people who work in the field, and try to expose the whole subject more and to talk about it more because hell, um, like thousands and thousands of people are dying, and so I'm hoping this message that I'm going to do today and going forward uh, is yes, I want it to reach the alcoholic and the addict, but I really want it to reach the family, because there's so much misunderstanding about the disease, and there's so much pain related to the disease for mums and dads, and you know um, sons and daughters watching their mums and dads. I mean, there's a lot of pain in around the disease of addiction, and because it's tricky. It's like, Jesus, what do we do with say, let's just use an example that you have a husband who's got a number of years of trying to get recovery, and it would and seems to understand that he has the problem, really, says, yes, I get it, I am an alcoholic, or I am an addict, and he's your husband, and finally, you can't live with him anymore, he can't be in the house because he won't stay sober, he won't stop doing drugs, whatever he's doing, and it's not, you know it's a heartbreaker because here's this man that you married, and or it could be your wife as well, and this person that you married and loved, and didn't realize was an alcoholic or an addict, or maybe wasn't at the time, and now you don't even know who they are. They're like, who is this person? Because when they're sober, in between bouts, they're kind of okay. They may be grumpy and that kind of stuff, but they're reasonably okay, and then off they go again. And even after they've said, I'm done, I'm done, I will never drink again, they would have certainly passed a lie detector test. They were so sincere that that was it, it's finished. And then you know 2 weeks or 2 months later, they're off again on another bender, and you're like, holy shit, what happened? And of course we get angry. We uh, the family of alcoholics and addicts get angry. They're like, why are you doing this? And they don't understand. Most of the families, many of the families of alcoholics and addicts, really don't get that um, the addict and the alcoholic is dealing with something that's beyond their power, beyond their control, and I call it my crazy mind, but you know, um, and it's beyond it. What happens is a couple of things happen in the mind of the alcoholic. One is that he says it'll be different this time. He really believes it. It seems that in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, in the book, it says that we can't actually remember. We can't bring with sufficient force the memory of 2 weeks or 2 months ago, of the devastation that happened in our lives. We just we it's totally gone. We're like, hell, I've been sober for, I haven't had a drink in 3 months. I should be able to have, you know, and either we have a drink or two to reward ourselves, or because we feel miserable, because we're angry, whatever it is, it doesn't need to be a lot. It often can be on a great day. And I was listening to this a neuroscientist the other day, as he was explaining actually what happens in the mind with the endorphins and dopamine and all of that stuff around this whole thing, and because it's actually chemical and it's in the mind. And so to We need a power greater than ourselves. So first of all, the first thing that has to happen for the addict has to really get that they're screwed. They really do. There's just, and without that, if the addict doesn't get that he or she is screwed, it's hard to really do anything. I mean, that's first step, we don't get that if we're still thinking. I remember when I first sobered up, I didn't really get that at the depth I have it now, but I got it deep enough to get started. I knew that things, there was a couple of things that were happening. I knew that life wasn't working the way I wanted it to, and I had some other things that come up. I had a daughter. My daughter was born, and all of a sudden there was something I wanted more, but I couldn't. I just could not have fixed it on my own. I couldn't quit on my own. I tried. I was a great quitter. I quit a lot, often. I just couldn't stay quit. And then when my daughter was born, and I was like, holy shit, I'm in trouble here. Like she really helped me to see how much trouble I was in. Her wanting to be a good dad couldn't have done it, but wanting to be a good dad did help me at least get to where I could find help. And I had family around me who were in recovery, and there was understanding of the disease, you know, my heart goes out all the time to mums. Mums are the world is full of mums who are just crying for their daughters or their sons who are deep in addiction, and I hear stories all the time, about sons especially, because I don't do a lot of work with in like fifth step work or sponsorship work with women. So I hear it mostly from men, but how they stole from their moms and how they lied, and it just, and even moms know they're being lied to and still, you know, help out, try to help out, and sometimes, getting a mom to practice tough love is difficult, because it seems that doesn't matter how much therapy the alcoholic takes or gets, he can totally agree I've got the problem, but he's got to the next thing that the alcoholic has to have is a really a desire or willingness to recover, and that has to be there. And the beautiful thing about the 12-step world is that, separate from, say, therapy, general therapies, and I don't have anything against therapy. I think therapy can be helpful, but therapy doesn't have a room full of recovered people, you know. And so when the addict or the alcoholic actually gets to that point where he finally says, "Okay, I'll do anything unconditionally," that's not true. It's a lie. That they all lie, but unconditionally, I'll do anything. Uh, and so he comes to the 12-step world, NACA, right? Crystal Meth Anonymous, which is getting growing these days, and AA, of course. When I came in, there was only one program really. Uh, Certainly, I don't think there was any other programs in this town. But when there weren't very many young people, I was young. I was 25, and but you know, when he walks in the room, he may not like the people in that room. He might judge them all. Jesus, I wouldn't hang out with these people. They're a bunch of friggin' losers. And they, the newcomer does that. Um, and But one thing he can't deny is that they have, recovery. And it's not true. We can't deny it, because sometimes the newcomer will tell us later that he thought we were all lying, and it was a conspiracy. They're so self-centered that somebody must have organized all these people to talk like this, tell his story, you know. But it comes a few times, he recognizes, holy shit, this is real. These guys have got recovery. They're living one day at a time. Some of them for a long time, like in my case, my whole life, or most of it. So my heart goes out to, and this is where I'm going to focus the next, um, whatever, months, years, who knows, but towards how can I help mums and dads wives, brothers, sisters, family, kids, um, of alcoholics and addicts who are in pain and don't understand. I want to try to demystify the disease. I want to be clear about, that they're I'm not saying that anybody has an exclusive on recovery. There's no debate. This is not a competition. It's a big, big problem. And recovery doesn't seem to be able to be institutionalized. You know, um, Historically, um, you know, what's missing in institutionalized recovery is compassion, understanding, experience, and also real recovery. So, um, a lot of times I've watched institutionalized recovery or treatment centers, where people who were in recovery were there, but they couldn't speak about how they got recovery. They had to stick to some sort of a track, that was organized by some PhD who never had a drinking problem. And there is some success that with that, but it's limited. It's limited. So one of the things that I'm going to give you a couple of quick hints that does make say the 12 steps work, or some treatment centers. The one that I've been associated with this last year, Fresh Start, does this, is community. Having a community is really important of people in recovery. So Fresh Start does that really, really well. They have a lot of alumni events and things that go on, and if you've been through there, you're welcome back always, and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, community, being accepted, because the alcoholic and the addict feels emotionally ostracized often. Stigma. There's this huge stigma. There's a lot of shame around the disease, and so yeah, that's it. So that's going to be my subject. I mean, for the last years, I've been kind of dancing around this, talking about, spirituality. Well, yes, spirituality is part of that. And talking about, meditation. And yes, meditation is part of that. But I'm going to hit this kind of head on. We're going to look at recovery, and which means I'm already doing, research of different uh, hmm, different things that people are doing, you know, and so that I hopefully can talk, uh, um, in a broad way about the subject, and bring some light into this subject, and because there's just it's such such a shame, really, how many the deaths that are related to this disease, and the pain and suffering that comes around it in families, and I was with somebody the other day, and she's concerned about her mom, really concerned about her mother, and their mother's been kind of quietly drinking for years, and her grandmother also died of the disease, so it's often generational, it really is, so it's my heart went out. It was like, you know, um, and so if I can do anything to help to shine the light on this subject, to help bring some peace to people, especially to families of addicts and alcoholics. So yeah. And okay, I'm still doing my daily reading every day, and I started this in May, and we've been poking along at this since then. It's the 20th of February, so um, March and April. We've only got less than 2.5 months left, to do this, um, you know, and then we'll do something else. But we're this focus, though. I want to interview. My hope is to interview a lot of people who are in the field of recovery, and just get their input. And there is no one way. Okay, there's many ways, but um, my experience is that without a spiritual component, I don't know. I haven't met. But I'm going to look at some of the other ways to see what's going on with some of the other recovery things that are happening. It, but there has to be a belief in some sort of a power, I believe. That's what's worked for me and millions of people that I've dealt with, you know, that we've seen in the 12 step world. I haven't dealt with millions of people, but you know what I mean. Okay, February 20th. Um, and he wrote this book in 1954, and it's interesting how he talks about drinking. It was written for recovery from alcoholism, and it was the early days of AA. Liquor used to be my friend. I used to have a lot of fun drinking, he says. Practically all the fun I had was connected with drinking. But the time came when liquor became my enemy. I didn't know just when liquor turned against me and became my enemy, but I know it happened because I began to get into trouble. And since I realized that liquor was now my enemy and my main business now is keeping sober, I make a living in business, but that's not my main business. It's secondary to the business of keeping sober. So I realized that my main business is keeping sober. And and uh, and when I work with guys, that our main business is helping others to stay sober, and that's how we stay sober. Meditation for today. I can depend. I can depend on God to supply me with all the power I need to face my situation, provided that I will sincerely believe in that power and honestly ask for it at the same time, making all my life um, conform to what I believe God wants me to do. I can come to God as a business manager would come to the owner of the business, knowing that to lay the matter before him means immediate cooperation, provided the matter has merit. Okay, prayer for the day. I pray that I may believe that God is ready and willing to supply me with all that I need. I pray that I may ask only for faith and strength to meet every situation. Beautiful. So let's talk about recovery. You know, I wrote a little piece this morning. It was, I'm going to read it to you. Sometimes stuff comes, and I just sat down and wrote this. Alcoholism and addiction recovery. The number one ingredient in the recovery process from addiction is that we must have, we must, we have to agree that we are sick. Number two is that we need to want to get better. Seems easy to those who are not addicted. For the addict, it's not always easy to see and to admit and accept that he or she is in trouble. Often, when we have a few days or weeks or months clean, the crazy, pleasure seeking, or pain avoiding mind tells us that we were making way too big a deal about the whole thing, and a few drinks won't hurt. And we're off again. Our family is baffled and still not realizing that we have a mental illness, think we are bad or just don't care. And they get angry and cut us off because it's just too painful watching the addict, alcoholic killing himself. There is a solution. So that's you know, we're going down the road. Okay, you guys. You know, often I do a little meditation, and because I think it's important that we learn to sit quietly. So whether you're the family of an alcoholic or whether, or an addict, an addiction, by the way, isn't just drugs and alcohol. When I'm talking about addiction, you know, just about anything that you do where you feel shame after, and sometimes that's food, porn, um, you know, even working too much, gambling. There's a lot of other types of addictions. And so many of us are addicted. And because it hasn't really hurt our baseline in our life too much, but if you're experiencing shame or guilt after something, recognize that maybe, and if you weren't addicted or having some form of addiction around it, you just wouldn't do it. But lots of things in our lives we come back to and we do again and again. We spend hours, on social media, say, oh, damn, I shouldn't have done that, or watching Netflix till 4 in the morning. It's like, oh, damn, it's kind of addictive behavior. There's so, but I mean, it's not like, I think I was addicted to cigarettes for a long time, and cigarettes were certainly weren't healthy, but it was a different type of an addiction. It wasn't gonna, ruin my life the way drugs and alcohol did. But eventually, I had to let them go, and but we'll talk about those things, addictions. Okay, you guys, we're gonna meditate for a few minutes. Just join me if you'd like to. Just close your eyes if you'd like, and just drop in. I want to share with you that actually I've been doing some meditations in the morning called Yoga Nidra, and it's amazing. Um, they're a little longer. You do them in, while you're laying down, and a friend of mine, Tanis Fishman, has some great Yoga Nidra scripts. She just, she speaks as you're laying there, and wow, it's really, really good to drop into such an amazing state. So I'm going to actually interview her. I think even, always with addiction is we grow an awareness of who we are. It's a good thing. We start to, um, you know, instead of react, we're ahead of the game. We start to understand our system and how it works, and where we're missing the mark. And so there's, I don't think there's any end to the possibility around learning about ourselves and our relationship with a higher power as well. So, because that's a growing thing for all of us. It's not just, one and done. And it is a growing thing. Um, all right, just drop in, maybe close your eyes for a minute. We're going to take just like a 3 minute, maybe 3 minute meditation. So drop into your breath. It's amazing for me with meditation. As soon as I, with intention, stop and, you know, drop into my breath, become aware of my breath, my whole body just kind of relaxes. The energy, just, you know, tingles out of my shoulders, and I settle down to another, to really a more quiet state. So just become present in your body. Remember that we're not our bodies. Our bodies are just a beautiful gift, a vehicle to transport us through life. We're not our thoughts. Begin to watch our thoughts and realize that there are really two predominant type of thoughts. One is, um, thoughts that we've created, when we're thinking about what we're going to do or where we're going to go, or thinking about brushing our teeth, or, they're intentional thoughts. And then there's random thoughts, and they, I don't even call them my thoughts anymore. They're really not. They're just random, and sometimes I'm like, where did that come from? Because they can be, kind of random, crazy thoughts. So my intention with meditation is to just watch them, let them go, to become aware if I get attached or identified with them, and continually let them go. Gently let them go. Not be against them. Be aware that they're just crazy thoughts, which is different again than inspiration. We'll talk about that another time. So here we are. Hopefully you can hear me. Drop in, watch your breath, surrender your thoughts. If you're meditating, you want to stay longer, please do. Love it if you'd follow me on YouTube. Go there and subscribe. That would be great. Okay, love you guys. Thank you. Recovery, baby, one day at a time.